just on our way to Pavones after a little bit of confusion with the bus. How to get aboard in a taxi, 101. Alright, morning guys. We're just about to get the first look at Pavones. This is a wave that I've been wanting to come to for so long. Now, finally here, and we can see waves. Oh, here we go. Aha. Woo. Wow, it's long. Mental. So yeah, I hope that gives you a bit of a glimpse into what Pavones is like. Now initially I thought the wave was extremely tricky to ride on the backhand. I found it really hard to sort of get the timing right and like actually attack it and like go vertical without sort of losing your speed and getting caught behind, because it sort of zips along the cobbles, especially at low tide. It's basically like impossible to make. But now, having surfed it on different tides and slightly different swell directions throughout the week, I've got a better idea of sort of what it's actually like. So just had some really fun waves just then, and I don't know if it was like a subtle change in the swell direction, but it just made the waves line up way better. I actually got some really fun long leg burners. But yeah, I still think it's a tricky wave, like especially if you're on your backhand, but at the same time I can see why the wave is so appealing, especially when you're front side, and especially if you're on like a 20 or a mid-length. And the wave is kind of split into two different sections. You've got the top section and the inside section. Now the inside section is by far the best. It's like the nuggiest, it's like the most perfect. But they never really link up. I mean, I'm sure they do on specific swell directions and certain sizes and whatnot. I just don't quite know the intricacies of it. Now, as you'd expect for a wave that is this famous and this well known, it's ridiculously crowded. Now, my first few sessions, I couldn't believe the intensity of the crowd. Obviously, you've got the locals who surf really well and they obviously get their waves, which is how it should be. But then you've got a lot of traveling surfers as well, which just makes it really hectic. Never seems to be like this freight train barrel. It's always quite a friendly, like almost soft wave, even though it is fast. So it kind of attracts that like upper end intermediate crew as well as advanced surfers. So with that whole mix, you get a hell of a lot of people out there all the time. And there is windows, like goes onshore obviously like throughout the day, and you can get it with less people and at lower tide where it doesn't quite connect as well. So first things first is the best time of year to surf here is April to October. Outside of those months it doesn't really work. I mean, you might get a few odd swells, but yeah, generally you want those big southern hemisphere south swells. It needs like a bit of swell to work, so you do want to come here when the swell. But getting to Pavones, it's a bit of a mission. When you come here, it feels like you're going to this super remote place and it's like real adventurous, but it's actually really well known and pretty crowded. So yeah, you've got a few different options for getting here. Best way you could probably do it is fly from San Jose to Golfito. I didn't do this myself, but I'd imagine it's pretty expensive, and the flights aren't that regular, so that way you'll cut out a long drive or a long bus journey. Alternatively, you could drive, so you could hire your car in either Golfito or probably in San Jose and do the long driving mission and like stop at a few other cool surf spots along the way. Obviously, renting a car isn't the cheapest thing in the world either, but if you're just coming here for 2 weeks and that's your only trip of the year, that's definitely a really good way to do it. But by far the cheapest / best way is getting the bus. So buses in Costa Rica are really frequent and fairly affordable. Wherever you're coming from in Costa Rica, the gateway to Pavones is a town called Golfito. It's the closest, biggest place. Like Pavones is really small, so Golfito is the closest like large town. So that's where you want to aim for. Now, to get to Golfito from San Jose, now there's a Tropa Bus that leaves San Jose every day at 7 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. It takes, I think, like 11 hours or something crazy. These aren't buses you can book online. You have to basically just rock up at the bus terminal and hope there's space, which is kind of annoying, but it's kind of how things are done here in Central America. Then you need to get from Golfito to Pavones, so this is just a small local bus. These buses leave daily. The first one is at 10:30 a.m. and the second one is at 3:30 p.m. It costs around $2 to $3, so it's super cheap. It takes 2 to 3 hours depending on the road conditions. And then that same bus leaves Pavones every day at 5:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. So there's not many buses, to be honest, and they're your only options. And then going back from Golfito back up to San Jose, if your buses leave Golfito at 5 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. So in terms of accommodation, Pavones is pretty well set up for surfers. So basically the whole town just comprises surf accommodation. So we're staying at a place called Casa Olas, which is pretty cool. It's pretty basic, but has everything you need. And the price is pretty fair as well, because it's not that cheap here. They have $20 a night dorm rooms, and we're staying in a private room, which is $40 a night, but there's 2 of us, so it kind of works out the same. It's decent. The Wi-Fi works most of the time. It doesn't have AC. It's got a fan, which is not amazing, but the location's perfect, and you can walk to the point, and it's close to like little tiendas and restaurants. And then next door, there's a place called Esperanza, which is $21 per night. And then there's loads of other places in town as well. You can check out Cabinha's Carol, which is, again, next, like 2 doors down the other way. And that's $32 per night for a private room. And then you've got Hotel Swell, which is around $57 per night. So all of those are kind of almost on the same road. So they're in like prime location, really. You're right in the middle of the point. So you can walk to the top, you can walk to the inside section, and you've got everything you need like right there around you. So in terms of what Pavones is actually like as a town, now there's not really much here. Everything revolves around surfing and this wave. So in town you've got a few different little surf shops where you can actually hire decent boards. There's one surf shop just down there where you can hire short boards and soft tops. There's a few other places you can do that as well. There's a few little cafes, a few tiendas, 3 or 4 restaurants. So it's basic, but it does have everything. The only thing it doesn't have is ATMs, but everywhere accepts cards, so it doesn't really matter as long as you get enough cash out to be able to catch the bus to and from Golfito. Otherwise you'll be stuck here. And yeah, like by the Pavones sign, that's kind of in front of like the main section of the wave, like the inside bit, the best bit. There's like this long wall that everyone kind of hangs out on and drinks beers or coffee depending on the time of day. And then yeah, that's kind of it really. There's not really much else to it. There's not really anything else to do. You come here to surf and chill, and that's it. So yeah, just to summarize and put it in a bit of a nutshell, Pavones is really, really crowded. You know, it's a really well-known wave, so I definitely wouldn't expect to come here and like score it with fewer people. It attracts surfers of all different abilities, you know. It doesn't seem like a wave that's ever like gets really big and like freight train never really gets that big. It's not like this big freight train barrel. That said, I found it pretty tricky to surf. Like I said earlier in this video, to sort of do turns and keep your speed and like tee off on your backhand is really, really hard. I don't know if that's the wave or just my technique should be better. And I had such high expectations for how good and fun this wave would be that I was kind of disappointed by it, which sounds really ungrateful because I'm surfing like one of the best, most well-known waves in the world. Having said that, if you're on a 20 or a mid-length and you're a goofy footer and you can just high line and drive down the line, you can get some really long, like really fast waves and yeah, have the best time ever. But yeah, for me, definitely not my favorite wave in the world, but it's definitely a cool little place to check out and a good wave to say that you've surfed. Any questions, please fire away down below. Hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, please like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next ep.